to the Fairy Little podcast. I'm Marcia, also known as Fairy Little, and this is my podcast that's all about knitting. I'm in a different location today. I'm actually hanging out in my room, so I thought I would just do the podcast from here. I recorded 2 days ago. My allergies were crazy and my emotions were just like all over the place. So I did record a podcast, but I watched it back without sound and it wasn't good even without hearing my own voice. So I'm starting from scratch. This will be going up tomorrow and hopefully this one works out a lot better. My voice is still a little bit scratchy, but that is allergies, and also singing really loud in my car at the top of my lungs is not good for my throat, but I do that anyway. So that's also why my voice sounds a little bit like I've strained my vocal cords, because I have in fact strained my vocal cords. I have my camera set up on like a little desk thing on my bed. So if it wobbles a bit, I'm going to apologize in advance for that, because that's not what I want. So let's get right into the knitting. I have a finished object, and when I recorded on Monday, I did not have a finished object. So here is my finished object. I got my socks done. These are the slouchies. They are by me, myself, and I, Marcia Yealy, which is my name. And you can find them on Ravelry or on my website, which is fairylittledesigns.com. They are fraternal twins. So these are a brioche stitch sock, which is really fun. It's very easy to brioche in the round because each color is that specific stitch the whole way through. So I did the brown gray on the top and on the outside of the first sock. Then I did the brown gray around the ankle, on the heel and the toe, and then I did the pink as the background color, and so it runs through the whole sock, and then the pink for the foot. And on the next one, I did the opposite. So it's the pink at the top, the pink is the outward color, and the brown is on the inside. Then the brown is around the ankle and the foot. The heel and toe are done in the pink. These were a real pleasure to get off the needles. The last time you saw them, I was here in the heel, and so I just did some beach knitting, and I got to about here at the beach, and then over the last day, yesterday, I just finished knitting the foot and then did the toe. It was really good. I needed some downtime and just some time to just clear my head and think about a lot of things. And these came out really nicely. I'm very happy with them. The yarn that I was using is called Pro Lana Mian Wool Eiswald. The colors are just numbered, so you can just go and look at the different colors online. One thing I did that I didn't mean to do is for the whole of this sock, the beginning part, I was pulling from the center for the brown, and then when I picked up for my stitches for the gusset, I pulled from the outside. So from here down, it's from the outside in, and from here down, it's from the inside out. So you can't really tell. I don't think you can tell at all, actually, that was the case, but that is something that did happen, and that was something I was thinking about while I was doing it. These are still damp, so they are blocking and are damp. The last time I showed them, they didn't fit the blockers very well because they had not been soaked, but they fit perfectly now. They will be dry by tomorrow because it's a double fabric on the brioche stitch. It takes a little bit longer for it to dry. So those are done. The other thing that I have been working on, and I talked about it last week that I was going to get started, it's being stored in my Chestnut Fibers Anne of Green Gables bag, which I love. And I'm really enjoying this bag and this knit. The fabric is actually really soft on to the touch, which I really like. The yarn I'm using is called Legacy Fiber Arts Cozy Toes, 80% merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. This one is in the Love Letters colorway. which is so beautiful. I'm really loving knitting with this yarn. It's got cashmere in it, so that adds a level of softness that is just perfect. So what I'm knitting right now is the Imagine Tee, also a design by me. It is a t-shirt. It is a V-neck t-shirt. And the V you can wear either in the front or in the back. This version, I'm going to be wearing it in the front. I'm actually knitting a smaller version than my previous versions. The ones I've knit previously are a 38-inch bust, and then it has ease, so it actually comes out larger. This one I'm doing the 36-inch bust. I've lost a bunch of weight, and so I want something that is going to fit a little bit more form-fitting to my body, which I am really excited about. So this right now, all I have to do, I've already split for the sleeves. So you cast on and you increase as you're doing the V. Then you separate for the sleeves. The sleeves go on some waste yarn, which I will pick up those stitches later and do the edging. And right now I just have to knit in a circle until I get the length that I'm looking for. I am going to do a shorter body on this because I have a lot of higher waisted items to wear, which I really like the look, the vintage look of a higher cut top. This is for me for sure. And I actually put those skeins away together when I first got them. I got them when I was at Rhinebeck in New York in 2017, I believe it was. And I ran into the Sue and Chelsea in New York at the Fiber Festival. It was really nice. I purchased the yarn at an event that they put on the night before the Fiber Festival actually took place. So I'm really enjoying this knit. It is exactly what I need right now. I have another pattern that I am knitting as well, which I will be picking up more so now that those socks are off the needles. I haven't knit anything on it since you last saw it. It is called the Augusta cardigan, and it's a big slouchy cardigan, and you knit this back panel first, and then you pick up the stitches on one side and knit down, and pick up stitches on the other side and knit the other way. The back panel is almost done. I actually started knitting a larger size. The panel's the same size no matter what size you're knitting. So changing it to a smaller size just means I'm doing less repeats because I don't think I'm going to have enough yarn to complete the whole sweater in the size I was doing. It does have a lot of ease in it, so I don't think going down a size or two is going to make that much of a difference for the end product. But these cables are so beautiful. I love them so much. I can't even describe it. They just feed something in my heart that just needed to be fed. I really wanted to do some cabling, and this is just the cables that go up the back is just a beautiful detail that it's just like a sprinkling of what I needed as far as my need for cables right now. The rest is going to be knit, and I believe that there's a little uneasy cable in the ribbing, which I think is essentially this cable here, transfers into the ribbing. It's the same as that one. So it'll go down into the ribbing along the bottom edge. So pretty. The yarn that I am using, I am in love with. It is Malamia, Sweden, naturally soft Aran weight wool. It's 100% wool. It comes in 50-gram balls, and it's 87 yards a ball. So this is in the blush colorway. It is so pretty. This blush color, just everything about this knit is just scrumptious. It just, I don't know, certain things give me that, it's like an internal feeling of giddiness or like excitement bubble. This definitely, the project and the yarn both give that to me. So it's I love this knit. I love it. And I cannot wait to have the item, the garment, but along the way, the journey is just so pleasant. The needles I'm using are Chow red lace needles, and these ones are, this is a 5mm needle. So it's a larger size needle, which means it also knits fairly quickly. I just haven't picked it up because I wanted to get those socks off the needles. They're sitting right there. That's why I'm pointing. You can't see that. I don't know why I'm pointing, but they're there. It's so very quick knit. When I sit and do it, it's really easy to get a repeat done. I'm excited for every part of this. I think the reason I haven't been working on it as well is because I am enjoying it so much. I just want to extend the experience because I am a fairly quick knitter. I could get this off the needles in a week if I really wanted to, but I'm just enjoying the process so much. And I think the style of my knitting is changing as well. I'm more into the process of it and not necessarily the end product. And I've noticed that I haven't necessarily been wearing as many knits as I was wearing because I'm enjoying the process more. So it's making me really look at the projects I'm working on, not just as projects that I want complete, but also as a project that I could possibly give as a gift to somebody, and just thinking about that process more than just the act of doing it and having the object at the end. Like taking the time and putting the thought into the whole process of it and allowing the knitting to actually ground me while I'm in it. I've gone through phases where that has been really my focus, but right now for me it's really necessary that I maintain being grounded. There's so many things up in the air, and my life is changing. Like it's changing completely at this point, but in really profound ways. And I'm changing in really profound ways. Things that I valued previously, I don't value so much anymore. And things that I didn't necessarily value as much as maybe I should, I'm valuing those things a lot more, and I'm releasing a lot right now. And that, for me, that's what I was doing on Monday, was I was releasing a bunch of things which brought out a lot of emotion for me. And I tried to record anyway. I tried to do that anyway. And I felt while I was recording that it was not what I should be doing at that time. But I couldn't see around not recording in that moment as to how else I would fit it into my schedule. And it turns out that it worked out that I could do it today. So here I am. As far as the regular weekly podcast goes, right now, I still plan on podcasting on a regular basis. I am still planning on that, but this month has played havoc with me and my emotions. I don't want to put something out there that is not going to be enjoyable for everybody who's participating with it. So I just want to make sure that my energy is good and that comes across for you, so that your experience as well is good, if that makes sense. The podcast I recorded on Monday did not have jibber jabber. This one is going to have some jibber jabber, and I'm already kind of sort of jibber jabbering anyway. So that is actually it for the knitting content. So if that's all you were here for, thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and I will see you next time. And if you're here for some jibber jabber, let's get jibber jabbering. I think I'm gonna knit while we talk because why not? I got some weeding done in my garden. It was not nearly as much as I wanted to get done. I got about a quarter done. No, a little bit more than a quarter done of what I was hoping to get accomplished as far as pulling weeds. It was very satisfying though. I have this playlist that I listen to while I'm doing weeding and yard work and housework. And it's really motivational. It's a lot of 90s music that I listen to. There's some newer stuff that I listen to as well that's very has a good bass line. So that I've been listening to while getting other things accomplished and done. I've been doing a lot of work at my job, which has been really good. I find the work that I do outside of podcasting and knitting, I find it very very fulfilling. I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot. I keep looking past the camera. I have a really beautiful view from my window of the mountain. So I just keep looking at the mountain. It's so pretty. I climbed it last week and I went straight from the bottom to the top. I don't know if I mentioned that in the last episode or if it happened after that, but it was about 45 minutes up. I was in a step competition with somebody with my Fitbit. And I was hoping that I would get more steps in than I did. But because I went straight up the mountain, it took way less time and way less steps than I thought I was going to. It was very satisfying, though. I definitely needed to get that energy out in a productive way, and that worked really well for me. I haven't had as much knitting time as I do normally try to pull out in my life. But my knitting time has been very good, like very focused, I want to say. Yeah, very focused. I bring my knitting everywhere with me. So when I'm sitting in the car, I'll be knitting there as well. Over the weekend, I ended up taking the girls paddle boarding, which was a lot of fun. They really enjoy doing that. And I enjoy watching them. I have this really nice beach blanket that I bring out and set up my little space. Scylla brings all of the snacks. We just hang out and I'll listen to an audiobook. I actually brought a book to read. It's a Nora Roberts book that I was reading at the beach because that one doesn't require a lot of brain work in the reading of it, and it's easy to put down and pick back up if I need to. So did some reading, which I haven't done that in a really long time. I'm reading 2 books right now, actually. They are both vastly different. One of them is called Single on Purpose, and it's really good. The man who wrote Single on Purpose has a YouTube channel, and he like reads through chapters. He also talks about healing and moving forward from past relationships. Even if they were healthy relationships, leaving relationships can be hard, and people can leave them. It's hard to leave a relationship even when it's healthy unscathed. So he talks about that and about growth opportunities that come out of breakups and that sort of thing, and moving into new relationships in a healthy way. So that's kind of the work books that I'm reading, and also the physical books. There's 2 of those. I am an avid reader, whether I'm listening to audiobooks or reading books. I really enjoy intaking information. I realized in the last month, it has been very made very clear to me that there's certain things that I just really need to release from myself, from my experience, from my life. Part of that is also making peace with the fact that I have to release these things to the universe to like take care of. But that's something that has been repeating itself in my life. And I am a spiritual person, so I do pay attention when themes and ideas and things repeat themselves and keep popping back up, and from different places. I keep hearing the same message coming out of different people's mouths. So I don't think that that's a coincidence. And it's not people that know about anything in my life. It's just conversations about the importance of releasing things from your life that no longer serve you, I suppose is the best way to put it. So I'm working on doing that. Previously, my counselor also told me to write a letter releasing a lot of things. And I wasn't ready to write the letter because I wasn't ready to release some things. So now I'm ready to write that letter, which I'm going to do. And I feel really good and positive about that. So that is another forward step in the way things are going. Things are moving forward for me in a very positive way and in a very exciting way too. There's things that I have started taking control of that I haven't taken control of in the last however many years I haven't taken control of. One of the steps towards doing that is I created a budget, and that was daunting. It's something, I used to be a financial advisor and I would work with clients to do that. And I did that a long time ago for myself. And it's something that I feel like is very important, especially for where I am now and being able to financially plan for the future, because I would like to own a house again. And that is something that I really want for stability for my kids. And although the house that we are in right now, we're renting, it's a beautiful home. It was an amazing opportunity and it came up exactly at the moment I needed it to. So everything in that area has worked out perfectly. It's amazing to me how those things can come together when you least expect it. I just am so grateful that I do live in the home I live in and that I live where I live and that I was able to afford where I'm living. The area I live in is very expensive in the Okanagan Valley. It's very expensive to live, and it's very expensive to find a home for a lot of children. Especially renting. Rent is more than most people's mortgages right now. So that's something that is like really, this home, choosing the town that I moved to, was financially saved me a lot of money from where I was living before. And I would have had half the house for like a lot more monthly cost. So it worked out perfectly. The day I was like, I need to find a place to rent, it came up on Facebook at 3:00 in the morning when I was working a night shift. And I contacted them right away and I got in to see it 3 days later. And they told me 2 days later that I had it. And then I moved in 15 days later. So it was very quick when I made up my mind that I did want to find a place, because the girls and I were living in a trailer for a little while on the back of a friend's property. So we had nowhere else to live. So that's where we were at. And the house we are in now is amazing. And there's the other stuff that I was speaking about previously on the podcast, I'm not going to be talking about that. And I don't remember if I've mentioned that or not. I'm not going to be talking about that because there's a lot going on in that area, and it's a lot of what I'm releasing to the universe to just handle. I don't want to complicate anything more than it already is complicated. It's a different situation. Everybody's situation is different, but this one is a very complex situation. And I just want to make sure that we can move forward in the smoothest way possible. that is it for me for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate every single one of you, and I hope you have a beautiful weekend, a beautiful rest of your week. You get some knitting done and have a beautiful day. Until next time.